Hey besties. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about finding an apartment in LA. So I'm gonna be giving you 10 super important tips when trying to find an apartment. I'm gonna bring you along my journey and you're gonna see 5 different apartments that I toured, which honestly were all beautiful and very amazing. I'm gonna be including prices, square footage, neighborhoods, all the details that you could want. And at the very end, I will be showing you guys which apartment I ended up choosing. All right, so if you're new to the channel, my name is Marco Zamora. I like to focus on interior design, and I also do some vlogs of my life here in LA. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe. I will be posting once every week. Yeah, join me in my journey of building my life here in LA. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of background as to why I moved to LA in the first place, or why I even wanted to. I went to school in Long Beach, which is technically LA County, but really Orange County. It's about like an hour away from LA. I went to school there. Right after school, I got a job in Orange County, and I really wanted to change it up, do something new. I was honestly at a point in my life where I wanted some change. I wanted to switch it up with work. I wanted to switch it up with where I live. And you know, especially after the pandemic, I feel like we were all just kind of stuck in this routine, and I just like wanted out. So what better way to do that than by finding a new job and moving? So I started applying to some jobs, and I actually found a job in tech. It was a work from home job, which is honestly what I was looking for. I really wanted that flexibility. So I found the job, and then up next was moving. I technically didn't have to live in LA for this job. They just wanted me in the SoCal area, but I figured why not make the move? You know, I got a bit of a salary increase, and I always wanted to live in LA, so let's do it. That brought me to where in LA was I going to live? LA is huge, literally huge. There are good neighborhoods, bad neighborhoods, and it can literally take you like 50 minutes to travel 10 miles. You kind of want to be strategic as to where you live. Luckily, because I worked from home, I really didn't have to commute anywhere, so that left me the whole map open. But I had some friends living here already, so I asked them like, hey, what are the good places to live at? Where should I stay away from? So the neighborhoods that I was looking at, which I thought were kind of cute, safe, and I would totally recommend any of you guys to look into these neighborhoods, were Silver Lake, Koreatown and Larchmont, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Culver City, and Mid-City. Most of my friends lived around the West Hollywood, Mid-City area, so I really wanted to stay more west of like downtown LA, if that makes sense. I didn't want to get too close to Santa Monica or Venice, so it's kind of in that central area. Okay, so now that I knew which neighborhoods I wanted to look into, I needed to figure out what criteria I was looking for in an apartment. So because I was looking for an apartment just for me, I was really just looking at 1 bed, 1 bath. Because I was gonna be working from home, I didn't want to have a studio. I really wanted to have like my own space to like sleep and then set up like a little work office. That's what I was looking for. In this process though, it's important that you figure out what your non-negotiables are. So for me specifically, my non-negotiables were 1, it needed to have a washer and dryer in unit. For 2, it needed to have hardwood floors, so absolutely no carpet. And for 3, I wanted it to be a 1 bed, 1 bath, just so I could have my work from home setup. So my budget range for an apartment was around $2,300. I was looking at places up to $2,500, which is stretching it, and as low as 2,000. So kind of anything in that range, but I really wanted to try and stay close to 2,300. I honestly feel like those are like pretty decent, like non-negotiables. I felt like I could find a couple of places. Like for me, AC, didn't need it. Parking, didn't need it. Remodeled bathroom, kitchen, didn't freaking need it. I'm a pretty simple gal, if I do say so myself. But I wanted it to be a, you know, cute place, cute neighborhood by setting up those non-negotiables that really lets you filter through apartments. You can select what you need, filter it down, and then sort through which apartments, you know, appeal to you or don't. Now that you know, the neighborhood that you're looking at, what sort of things you're looking at an apartment, then it's time to download the applications. If you're like looking for a home like I was, you're gonna wanna check these apps like at least 3 times a day, I'm gonna say. The ones that I use, which I thought were super good, were apartments.com, Zillow, and HotPads. Stay on top of those, check them multiple times a day because listings, they go fast, I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, I think that covered everything. I think I'm done running my mouth. So now it's time to check out the apartments that I toured. All right, so we're gonna start with apartment number 1. This apartment was in West Hollywood. It was $2,300. It was around 700 square feet, 1 bed, 1 bath, and it was east facing. So let's check this one out. Okay, so you walk in and this one had a balcony, which I thought was kind of cool. The kitchen was there to the left. This kind of little standing area where I was at was the living room. Kind of small. Then you had the bathroom, which is close. All remodeled, kitchen was remodeled, which was awesome. The bedroom was small. The washer and dryer, which I loved, I was like, yes. So after viewing this apartment, we have tip number 1, which is lighting. So which direction do your windows face in? Do you have windows on multiple sides of your apartment, just one side? And if it is just one side, what side is that? Is it east, west, south? That's all very important because it really sets the energy that's gonna be in your apartment. The most optimal direction for your windows to be facing is south facing. Those windows get light all throughout the day, and east is obviously sunrise and west is sunset. North is no. So north windows are not good. You will not get any lighting. So try and stay away from that. Tip number 2, find flooring that matches your design style. So in this specific apartment, it was a remodel, so the flooring was a little bit more on the gray side. Gray is one of the hardest floors to match. So if you have a very like modern, contemporary style, it'll probably work well with your furniture. However, I feel like if you have anything else, it's very difficult to tie in your furniture into your apartment style. So that's a very important tip. Colors that are a little bit more flexible and work with most design styles are oak floors or more of a darker walnut color floor. So with this first apartment, I feel like I wasn't super impressed. The location was really good. It was like right next to West Hollywood. There was a lot of places that you could walk to. But one thing that I noticed is that it was right next to Cedars Hospital. And anytime that you're next to a hospital, you could imagine there's probably gonna be a lot of sirens and ambulances. On top of that, I felt like overall the apartment was pretty small. The balcony, while it was really cool, I felt like it wasn't gonna get much use. So I decided to scratch this apartment and keep looking. The chokehold that this next apartment had me in. So it was in the Koreatown neighborhood. The price was $2,750. I know, crazy, just wait till the end, I'll explain that. It was around 1,000 square feet. It was a 1 bed, 1.5 bath. All right, so this apartment was brand new construction. I love that. It had 3 stories to it, crazy. Right as you walked in, it had a washer and dryer, so I said, check. Everything was brand new. The room was a little small. It was on the very bottom floor. It had concrete floors, which I thought was kind of cool. I don't know. I feel like I've always wanted to live in like a concrete loft, but anyways, then you go up the stairs and this was the main living room. So the living room was small. The floor plan of it was, it had super tall ceilings. I was obsessed with that. It had a little small bathroom there. The kitchen was there to the right. I loved the color of the flooring at this location. I felt like any furniture style would really work good with this. And then at the very top, it had this little like loft, which I thought would be perfect for an at-home office. And then right next to it, I had this little patio where, you know, I could do yoga, have a bonfire, just live my LA dream. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyways. Okay, so that brings us to tip number 3. Is it negotiable? That is such an important question to ask, especially for buildings that are new builds. Typically, these buildings are pretty empty and the landlords or owners are trying to get these apartments filled as fast as they can. So there's oftentimes opportunity to negotiate. So like I said, this apartment was $2,750, which is way out of my budget, but they had a special offering. The offering was that they would, with a 14-month lease, they would reduce 1 month of rent. So if you do quick little math, that brought rent down to right under $2,600, which was still out of my budget. So I put on my little negotiating skills on and I ended up getting them to agree to giving me 2 months off, a 14-month lease, and that brought rent to around $2,350, which is totally good price for me. Once I got it to that place, I was ready to sign. And I ended up asking friends, you know, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And while I really wanted to just say yes, I started thinking to myself, this is my first home to myself. And I really want to decorate this place, you know, design it, put a lot of energy into it. And I felt like once those 14 months were over, $2,750 for rent just did not make sense for me. So ultimately, I would need to move out. And I didn't like the idea of moving into a place with already having a set deadline of when you were gonna move out. So while I love this place and I really wanted to run around it like a little hamster across all 3 floors, I just decided that it didn't make sense for me. With that, there is still another tip, which is tip 4. Always bring a tape measure with you. Take measurements of the rooms that you think are gonna be tight, write them down in a notebook, and then take them home. And then from there, you can kind of make a decision and see, is my furniture gonna fit? Is this place too small? Also, if you take really good measurement, you can build a 3D model of what your apartment is gonna look like. But that's like crazy. But still, bring a tape measure, measure the walls, just so that you know the space is gonna work for you. That brings us to apartment number 3. This apartment was in Larchmont, which is a pretty cool neighborhood. I feel like there's a lot of expensive homes around there. This apartment was $2,450. It was 850 square feet. 1 bed, 1 bath. So this one had a little bit more of like a traditional apartment layout, I would say. You have the living room and the kitchen together. I loved that island, the kitchen island, game over. Then you walk into the bedroom. The bedroom was very spacious. I love that big window. There was nothing, you know, obstructing my view, which was really cool. The closet was huge, it had a window in it. I feel like it'd be really good to like have a mirror in there, you know, you can change, all that sort of stuff. Had a washer and dryer, not the fanciest, but washer and dryer. The bathroom was so beautiful. Kitchen was like brand new, remodeled. So I loved all of that. All right, so this apartment brings us to tip number 5. What floor is the apartment on? Try and stay away from having the apartment be on the first floor, as well as having people live on top of you. You don't wanna live on the first floor because if you have your windows open, anyone can look inside your apartment and it very much feels like you're living in a fishbowl. So for privacy reasons, I would recommend second floor or higher. Naturally, it's usually better if you don't have someone living on top of you, just because then you won't hear all their noise. And that kind of ties into tip number 6. Who are your neighbors and do they have pets? Pets, while we love them, they can be very loud and very, very annoying. And same thing with neighbors. Some people like blast music at crazy times. So if you can, ask the realtor. They will usually tell you. Ask if any of the neighbors have pets. Ask if the previous tenant had any issues, because that is huge and should definitely be something that you take in account before you move into your next place. This brings us to apartment number 4. So this apartment was located in West Hollywood. The price was $2,450, 890 square feet, and it was a 1-bed, 1-bath apartment. So let's check this one out. This apartment was in a beautiful little courtyard, which had so many plants, and it had this little driveway, which I'll show you, which is where you drive your car in from the street, and in the back, it had a designated parking spot. That already had me in love with it. But the inside was stunning. It had this like Spanish style design to it. The hardwood floors were beautiful. I love that dark color. The fireplace I was in love with. I wasn't obsessed with the texture on the walls, but I feel like it played into that whole like Spanish style apartment or design. It had a lot of storage. It had kind of like a little dining room nook area. Unfortunately, it was on the first floor, which I'm not the biggest fan of. The kitchen was very meh. I mean, it had a lot of, countertops, which is good. Washer and dryer, which is good. I feel like it checked a lot of the boxes off. The bathroom was so cute. Oh my gosh, I love that tile. I feel like I've always wanted a bathroom with tile like that. Not very much counter space, which I didn't like. The bedroom, however, was pretty spacious. I feel like it was a really good apartment. I was honestly so obsessed with this one. I walked in and I literally could not stop saying, this is the one. I need this apartment. And I literally called the agent as soon as I could. I told them that I wanted this apartment. When I called them, they told me that literally 5 minutes before I went to go see the apartment, someone had submitted an application. I was literally ready to end it all. So that brings us to tip number 7, which is, what is the parking situation like? So for this specific apartment, it was located in West Hollywood. And in West Hollywood, there is permitting. Like, you cannot find parking anywhere unless if you have a permit. So I think that's a big tip to think about when you're moving into a place is, do I have a designated parking spot? And number 2, is there parking that is not permitted where my friends can park freely? And also, how busy is the street parking? Because some streets are super busy. Even if there's no permitting, you're never gonna find a parking spot. So keep those things in mind because it is very important, especially once you've signed the lease and you wanna invite people over, but you can't because there's no parking, or no one wants to visit you because there is no parking. All right, anyways, tip number 8. Where are the wall plugs and how many are there? This one sounds dumb, but in LA, you will be surprised. These buildings are old, and sometimes rooms don't even have wall plugs, which is crazy. And sometimes they do, but they have one, and it's in the most awkward place ever. Just keep an eye out for wall plugs. Make sure that there is at least wall plugs in each room, and if they're in good places, because that'll just be annoying to deal with later on. So yeah, it's a weird tip, but it's a good tip, okay? All right, this brings us to the last apartment, which is apartment number 5. This one was located in Mid-City. It was $2,350, 1 bed, 1 bath. Okay, so you walk into this apartment and you're in the living room and it is massive. It is big. The windows are huge, okay? They're south facing. There's beams, which are gorgeous. The hardwood floors, this is oak hardwood floors, which is a very easy type of wood to match your design to. There was this little kind of like nook galleyway area. Then the bathroom, not the cutest finishes, but hey, it was a modern bath and it had everything I needed. So check. This is the bedroom. It was massive. Like, you could fit like 3 queen beds in there. Then you walk into the formal dining room, okay? Big again. There, the washer and dryer, and it had a remodeled kitchen. This apartment also had a designated parking spot, and in the back, it was kind of this little like courtyard area. So this brings me to the last 2 tips. Tip number 9, how thick are the walls? So in LA, there is all sorts of construction, old construction and new construction. And depending on the building, some walls are very thin. If you do have the opportunity to ask the landlord or tenant, make sure to ask them how thin or how thick the walls are. For this specific apartment, the walls were actually somewhat thin. However, the landlord had actually added insulation into the ceiling of the bedroom so that when you're sleeping, you can't hear the people above you, which I thought was super cool. So for our last tip, which is tip number 10, it is move fast. Here in LA, apartments go like that. And I had seen that in all of the apartments that I had toured already. As you can guess, because this apartment was everything I could dream of, honestly, I literally toured the apartment, and as soon as I walked out, I told the landlord, I want this apartment. Take it off of Zillow right now. And I actually had all of my information available to him, so I shared that to him in an email, and he literally took it off of Zillow right then and there. I had been the first one to tour this apartment, and just like that, it was mine. One thing to add is that it didn't have AC. However, I feel like here in LA and in all of the other apartments that I had lived in, I never really had AC. So I feel like I was kind of used to just opening a window, putting on a fan, and making it work. For me, beauty was a lot more important than comfort. We'll see how summer goes. So yeah, this is my new apartment. I have been living here for a couple of months now, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Best decision I've ever made. I have been designing the living room. I'm still working on the other rooms. I feel like a lot of space and a lot of opportunity for me to express my creativity and go all out because it is my apartment. So please subscribe, join me in my journey. I will be giving a lot of design tips, linking home decor products that are affordable and very cute, really just sharing my journey living here and building my life in LA.